Okay, there we go.
I guess it's 4:30 on October 16th. I'd like to call the meeting of the advisory committee to the 109 board for Jefferson County Louisville Metro to order. First order of business, do we have, I'm going without an agenda, Karen, so help me if I get out of line, but probably the first order of business is approval of the minutes from the previous meeting.
That's correct.
Has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes? Any changes? Hearing none, I would ask for a show of hands. Hopefully, everyone to vote, obviously, we want to make sure that we have our cameras on. So those in favor of approval of minutes, say aye. And those opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Next order of business, Karen, could you help me out with that?
Yes, I was just going to share the PowerPoint. Can you guys see that? So there's a 109 board update typically on the agenda. So Pete, if you have, you can certainly share anything from the last board meeting. But one in particular thing that I added here was a request from Carl Brazeley, who is a 109 board member. And he was hoping, or I guess proposing, that we have a technology and innovation subcommittee. And so I sent the document that he had, his draft proposal. I sent that to you guys the other day and was hoping if anybody had a chance to read it, but that would be something we would discuss. And then anything else as far as a 109 board update.
I know I had the opportunity to read the document. I thought it was very interesting. I have my feelings about it, but I'd like to hear from other committee members. Are there any other comments out there? Well, nobody wants to speak. I will tell you that my feelings are that I liked what I heard. I think he's got some great ideas. Obviously, we work at the behalf or the pleasure of the 109 board. So if the 109 board, which Carl sits on, wants to pursue something of this nature, then I obviously we would support it, or I would support it personally. So I'm sure everyone that sits on this committee would. And I'm sure some of us would want to participate in it. Any other thoughts from anybody else?
The only issue I've got is whether or not it actually incorporates more
Just a
than we're
question.
capable of dealing with.
Sorry, hold on, Pat. Let's, Sandra, let's finish your thought.
Okay, the only thing I wondered is if there was a little bit more.
Is that me or Sandra?
I believe
No,
so. She dropped off.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can't hear.
Okay, Sandra, sorry, we lost you.
Karen, can you hear me?
Yes.
I received the draft you circulated. The only head scratcher I had was why it was dated January 9th.
I think because Carl wrote it a while back and didn't send it to us. I didn't edit the document at all. It came straight from Carl that way. I think he's been working on it for a while. He met with us, Pete. I don't remember when that was. And I was hoping he'd be here to talk about it a little bit more, but yes, that's the reason. And Sandra, I don't know if you're back. We lost you mid-sentence.
The only thing is if it doesn't bite off more than we can chew all at once.
Yep. I was thinking about this. We had a leadership meeting yesterday where a concern was brought up in a general public works sense that technology is changing and improving so fast that sometimes the research is happening, or maybe even a proposal is being written or a grant or something, and by the time it gets through the process, it's already changed in some way, or a new version or update is available. So I was just thinking about that along with this idea here.
Karen, if I may ask what if you have any other thoughts about it, or if Pete has any input he would like to offer.
Well, Carl's conversation with us, Karen, it has been a bit. And I believe that he's got some really good points and some ideas. It doesn't necessarily have to be hauler related. It could be technology for just about anything, batteries, processing, those types of things. So I think that there's a wide open area that we can go into, and you could probably bite off as much as you want, be it a little or a lot. So I think it can be controlled somewhat, but I do believe that it needs to maybe a discussion with the board that we kind of broach this subject if they want to create a subcommittee to focus on this, and maybe Carl can narrow down the scope to give the committee some good direction on where he feels like it needs to go.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we already have somewhat of a challenge ahead of us with some of the studies, yeah, and breaking those down to what's best for the community. And possibly narrowing it down, obviously, would be great, because he really was looking at every little aspect and opportunity there. So,
Mhm.
Any other comments? All right. Well, hearing none, then we'll move on to the next item. I
Here-
did manage to pull up an agenda. Go ahead.
Bruce, if I could, I wanted to kind of add to the 109 board report on a few things that we discussed at our last advisory committee meeting, just to give a little bit of an update.
Please
if I
go
could.
right ahead. Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to share. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so at the last meeting, we talked about two contract RFPs that were out. One of those was the cost of services study, which was a part of the last 5-year solid waste management plan. And we've worked quite a bit. We got the RFP out. We've kept you guys up to date on where we were on this. And I just wanted to tell you that the 109 board has approved, and we have signed with the company called Raftellus. I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of who they are and kind of where we're at in kicking this process off. First off, just a little bit about Raftellus. Raftellus is the huge financial and management consulting practice. Their industry, or their focus is on the utility industry, which you can look at waste somewhat in that regard. They're national, so they are out there. They've worked with a lot of municipalities across the country, which also includes, MSD here in town, and so on and so forth. One of the things that we were a bit concerned about was how broad their scope of utility work was and if they had enough experience in the waste side of things. And they dispelled that into my, I guess, satisfaction through the process. So this is part of their team. And I would say that we had a meeting with them the other day, and there's several people that aren't even here. But what you have, I think, that is they put together a team that can take us across from the wide breadth of what we need. They also have actually the project manager, Morgan McCarthy, is actually Louisville based. She is the project manager. And there was another gentleman, I believe, that was part of it. He's not listed on the screen, but he was actually from Louisville at one point, and he worked a whole lot in the merger years. So he has a very good understanding of our community, which that was one of the things that we were really kind of concerned about is can people understand Louisville and its makeup of small cities, HOAs. I guess that's me getting a little bit of feedback. Is everybody mics off? Okay, I'll try it again. Okay, so we really feel good about the team. Their approach is going to be really simple for us. I have broken this down. They proposed more stuff than what we're going to do, but project initiation, which we're in at this particular time, and that started with a data request, which I'm going to show here in just a moment. It's not going to be the full data request, and then they'll do their assessments and analysis, and then presentations. So it's really kind of it's a lot more than what it looks like on 3 tasks. I will tell you that. So the project timeline is really a full 12 months, which is not exactly where we want to be. So we've asked them to consider how we can get this back down to at least August of next year. And we're going to look and see if that's possible. So there's quite a bit to this. The other aspect of this I wanted to show you guys is their initial data request. And one of the things when I first looked at their data request, I was like, oh man, there's no way that we can provide all this. And what they assured us was that this is something that they use across the country. So some of this stuff doesn't necessarily apply, but they would like to get as much of it as they can. Some of it we can definitely give. When it comes to the historical financial information for the Department of Public Works and Solid Waste Management Services, we can give them everything. That's not a problem. That's an open book. They'll be able to see everything. It's all open records anyway. Infrastructure and things like that, we can provide some of that. Now, existing contracts, obviously, we can't give financial information for other private haulers or other waste disposal facilities, and we can't even really give contracts for between haulers and other entities and things like that. We can give them what we have. So that part is not going to be so much the issue. Operational data, a lot of this can come from the annual report, diversion numbers, hauler numbers, and that to a certain extent. I'm sure that they're going to want to build that stuff out. They want, for the urban services district, all of the route maps, service levels, quantities, all the fleet information, which, we're able to give that. illegal dumping statistics, bulky waste collection, unsubscribed collection services, recycling organics, waste composition studies. It goes on, and it is quite a bit. They want to get this by November 1st so we can get started. It is a lot. And what I will say is that we're going to be able to supply what we can supply, and what we can't, they're going to work to be able to obtain that information one way or another. And I think that's what we're going to have to figure out. Now, this isn't just me or Karen that's working on this. I want to tell you that Bruce Burrow is a part of this committee. Sumeda Rao is also a part of this committee, and Karen and I. So we're going to make sure that this whole process stays transparent and open as much as possible. And that, when we get done with this, it's going to be objective information, and it's going to be hopefully what we can consider a trusted set of facts, in which case people can rely on to be as accurate as we can get it. So that is where we're at with the cost of services. Bruce, Karen, Sumeda, do you all want to add anything I missed?
No,
Nope, I think you covered it all, Pete.
Thank you. Bruce?
no, same comment. Didn't mean to speak over you, Smeda, but yes, I think you did a good job going over it.
Okay. So we're going to continue on that process. I'm excited about it, and we'll be moving forward. The other one that we talked about at the last committee meeting was the capture rate study. After negotiation back and forth with our vendor, who on that one is going to be MSW Consultants. Anybody remember were part of the 10-year solid waste management study and recommendations. We've gotten that. We finally got that approved by the 109 board. It's in their process of signing on their end. So once we get that done, we'll be moving to. It should be a little bit quicker than 12 months, I hope. But we'll be getting that one done, which will help us greatly with our education and outreach, because it's going to give us that information that we need to get to know the behaviors of the people that are in the community, so we can figure out how best to move them towards recycling and recovery. But those were the two things that I wanted to update the committee on. Be more than willing to answer any questions on any of those things.
I'm wondering, somebody was really feedback there. I guess
I think it might be you.
Greg, you have two devices, so you're getting feedback when you unmute. I think either you need to turn the other one off, maybe, or if you're using two. Sorry, I muted you.
Can you
Okay, we
unmute?
lost you.
okay. I just I heard so much feedback. I just thought somebody else maybe had a mute, but I'll mute that.
Greg, if you want to put your stuff in the chat, that might help us. I think he jumped off.
No, he just moved on the screen.
Okay, sorry. There you are.
I don't know. You have two. I don't know why. I guess one was for your camera, but you got to turn the volume or something off of the other.
So were there any other questions while Greg kind of tries to straighten it out? Greg, were you going to put that in the chat, or did you? Okay. All right. Well, I guess we can move on. Bruce, Greg, anytime you want to send me a question or whatever, feel free to do so.
All right, thank you for the update, Pete. Karen, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, I don't think so. And if that was all you had, Pete, for the 109 board update, that was also under the contracts part. So,
Oops. My apologies.
which is fine because that was, I just had it listed separately. But if you don't have any other 109 board updates, we would just move on to the next part.
I do not. My apologies.
That's okay.
So we want to move on to the business outreach technical assistance plan. Is that what
Yeah.
we're talking about, Karen?
Yes, and that's me. That's so we've used these meetings to kind of keep us going with some of our educational goals that are found in the 5-year plan. And so we've landed on our residential information and card that's created. I think we still have some work to do to make that get used, but at least that hard part was done. So we'll keep moving on some of those projects with the residential side of things. But I did want to start talking about some of the business side of our education that I have a goal of really moving forward with, especially now that we have more staff. So I'm going to go ahead and share the PowerPoint again. All right, does everyone see that? So this is a reminder of the 5-year plan has specific actions within it. And of course, lots of them have to do with education. And these 3, the first 2 are under the collection system section. And then the third one is under the recycling and reuse section. And it's quite similar to the other 2. But yes.
Can you expand it to
Oh, yeah.
presentation?
There you go. Better.
Much.
And so I just brought these to our attention because it's a good guide, and I often need to kind of revisit that. But the idea is that we need to create outreach programs for each waste sector. That includes best practice guides, toolkits, figuring out, helping them have responsible waste management, obtaining services, using waste audits, figuring out ways to reduce cost or figure out what services might be offered. And then creating that technical assistance program for setting up programs. So in this case, it mentions each waste sector. So in this case, I'm kind of generally focusing on ICI or businesses. Of course, there's a lot of different types of businesses out there, small, large. They're going to have totally different types of waste. But so for now, we're just kind of speaking generally about businesses. So what we would like to do is to really start our business outreach and which would begin helping Louisville businesses reduce and manage their waste through online resources, site visits, waste audits, and consultation. So currently, we have a page on our website that has some like 10 tips for businesses. And of course, it allows them to click to reach out to us if they, if they want to ask questions, and that does happen. I get questions through email, through my contact form. I don't know for a fact they're coming from that page, but we do get questions about recycling based on where they're at and different things. But in this case, we not only want to just have a few tips and a button to press to get to us. Number one, we want to have some more robust technical tools, like a toolkit available. And we also want to reach out directly to businesses rather than just kind of sitting back and waiting for them to come to us. So here's some of our objectives with a program is to assist with waste reduction strategies and just be able to, by looking, doing a site visit and kind of understanding their waste generation, help them figure out ways they can actually just reduce their waste overall. And then, of course, the big idea is to save money. Hopefully we can figure out ways businesses can save money. Educate them through this process on why this is important, whether it's the reduction of waste or even just managing waste in a better way to just keep a handle on it and to be good neighbors with their maybe dumpsters and carts. And providing resources and tools, of course. We want to promote trust in recycling and waste reduction efforts and provide data showing that it works. And hopefully through a process of, kind of getting some businesses under our belt, so to speak, as far as case studies, to be able to show, well, we did this over here, what can we do for you? And then encourage businesses to promote their sustainability efforts, to bring in more customers and retain their employees, just to be able to share, that they have that as a core value. So some of the deliverables that we would have would be a waste assessment, showing what the business is currently generating. And some of this is going to be really them telling us, but in some cases a site visit is needed. There may be businesses that need more help than others. We can help perform a waste audit with the business, with guidance or being there if they want more in-depth look at their what they're really throwing away, or it also just kind of depends on their goals. If they already recycle and they want to improve that, or maybe they might want to show that starting a recycling program would be helpful. And again, ways to reduce waste. Giving a specifically tailored plan based on the waste and that the business generates, how to reduce waste and costs, and then following up with help with signage or training, or just making sure that custodial staff, whoever it is, can follow any program or changes that are being made. Okay. And then to know that we're successful, we would love to have quantifiable reduction in waste, seeing that employees are working together to reduce waste, and big bonus here would be reducing costs associated with disposal. Through a waste assessment, this can be done, a business can compile information about that. We can do a facility walkthrough to determine current waste generating activities. You really do need someone from the outside looking in to kind of help wrap your mind around what can be done in any particular situation. And then determine targeted materials for waste reduction. So we have, by the way, I wanted to mention, especially since Bob Schindler is still hanging around with us, we have the old green ink. I'm not sure who else was involved in that, but we do have, I think it was Sarah Lynn actually that found a copy and gave it to me of, and it's got a lot of really good information. Pete, were you going to say something? Sorry.
No, I've pulled that stuff out multiple times, I think, and given it to you.
Yeah, it's great information. A lot of it can now be done maybe a little more digitally.
Yeah.
But this is just sort of a draft of a waste audit with some calculations, and this can be done on paper with a walkthrough or an Excel sheet. But being able to do these things. So I just wanted Bob to know that we are still pulling from that all that work that was done years ago. And then, of course, evaluating, we want to use compiled information to determine if there's any cost savings, and determine which waste reduction tactics can be implemented. And then you want to implement it. It's like we hope these businesses will be on board fully from the beginning that we will come up with some solutions and follow through with it. And of course, you have to continue to promote and educate. So you want to, you know, especially your staff, providing, and not only that, depending on the type of business it is, but, you know, it's important to promote that you are having some sustainability goals as a business, promote that to maybe customers or, you know, again, it kind of depends on what kind of business you are. And then following up with these businesses, we hope that they can continue a program and it doesn't just, we want to make a sustainable program. So I basically wanted to throw that out there for you guys as, I'm going to stop, as experts in the field, experts in the hauling and the collection side of things and the processing side of things, and find out if you have any suggestions or even questions about us launching something like this.
Any committee member have comments? I
How would
think
you
our plate's wide
determine,
open right now. Yes, Pete.
Oh, Adam.
Yeah,
Oh, Pete.
I'm sorry. Adam, you can go ahead and go first.
just how would you determine which businesses to target, or is there a specific focus in mind there, or just whoever would reach out for assistance?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because right now we're really just sort of letting people come to us, which is nice because when they come to us, we know that they're already thinking about that and they may already have that initial request from, you know, the higher up management. But I would say that the first thing that comes to my mind of someone that we might reach out to would be a business maybe that appear to have some management problems like overflowing dumpsters. You know, they may need some help determining better collection frequency and right sizing their dumpsters and maybe even recycling if they're able to. But that, you know, you don't, there might be some enforcement issues going on, but really what they need is some help managing their waste. So to me, that would be a place to start.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea is, you know, finding people that routinely have problems and then trying to help or suggest things to help them with those issues. And then, you know, I think a lot of the problems are habitually from the same people, and trying to offer some form of help before penalty, I think is a great idea.
If I could add on to that, I think that we're naturally moving towards that. We've worked with, even on the neighborhood level, it's not necessarily a business, but we've worked in an area that had some trouble waste collection issues. One of them was Wabash Place. You know, we didn't make it perfect, but we did improve the system quite a bit. And another one area that we just worked on that, I mean, we had complaints every week, and we was having to pick up stuff every week. That was over off of Young Avenue, and Karen's team went out there assigning carts, educating, crafting booklets for people to get quick information. And I will tell you that the complaints have stopped and things have went really well. So if you look at this in the same model of going after a business that is a habitual offender to a certain extent and working with them to solve the problem, not just cite them all the time, whereas citing is sometimes necessary. but working with them to find the solutions, and then you're actually improving their community around them. They're being better neighbors, but at the same time, we could also potentially start recycling and reducing waste a lot more. So it's trying to take a more of a holistic approach to some of these things instead of just a single approach. And I think that if we're going to a business and we're helping them find ways to solve problems and headaches and getting the things that we want, I think that's the way to go. I also think generally we're going to have to find where our biggest bang for our buck is to direct our attention. You know, what category of business are we talking about? Department stores that have mostly a waste stream of boxes and paper. You know, do we want to try to get some of those? Do we want to go with bars that have a lot of possibly glass, aluminum, and stuff like that? Or where do we want to go? So I think that that's really kind of a roadmap that we have to kind of lay in the beginning so that we know where we need to approach, where we need to go.
Any other comments?
Bob has his virtual hand up.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, I think one of the things we did the last time is we went through the Chamber of Commerce and got them. I don't know if we paid them or if they just did it gratis, but I think they sent out something from us to all of our members advertising that we had a program like that. And I think if I recall right, we got a fair amount of inquiries that came back, some of which followed through and some of which didn't.
Okay, that's good. I'll take a note of that.
Anyone else?
Corinne, I think maybe you was muted. Can't hear you.
Corinne, we can't hear you. All right. If you want to put your notes or your comments in the chat, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I think
And
I wasn't talking. Corey was talking, but she was muted. A lot of us are
Oh.
muted, but I wasn't. Okay.
But we don't have the feedback issue, so that's been resolved, Greg.
the one thing I wanted to say, Karen, you're kind of, for those of us in the industry, you're kind of preaching to the choir here. Because that's the only way we keep customers is by offering, the types of things that we're talking about. Did you catch that note, Karen put up?
Yes, she's on GLI's Energy and Environment Committee. So if we have something to share, I can pass that along, she said. Thank you.
I think maybe one of the first things that we need to share is we're looking for people that want to be on the forefront and possibly become case studies for us.
Good
We have
place to
to
start.
obviously give them a scope of what we're looking to do, but I think
Sure.
that would be a good place to start.
Yeah, if you could give us like a short blurb and maybe like an image or something to go with it, we're happy to put it on all our platforms as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'll move in that direction. And yes, I feel like, when we really start, what we're going to be improving it as we go and kind of tweaking things as we go. But it'll really help us to gain some experience, especially for our team. Diane and I have done a little bit of this kind of thing already, but Diana, sorry, I have to emphasize the is our new educator and has not. So we need some more experience.
All right. Thank you. Do we have a staff update at all?
I did not have a staff update. The only other thing I had on slide was, hold on, just the announcements, which I can pull up.
Well, I have to say, I feel remiss in not thanking Mr. Schindler for joining us tonight. Welcome to your first meeting of the advisory committee since your tenure with the 109 board ended. And we're very blessed to have you. So thank you, Bob.
Well, thank you, Bruce. Glad to be here.
Yes.
Well, we always look forward to your input.
Uh-oh.
Now, do we have any public input that we want to go over? Anybody want to say anything? Hearing none, we'll move on to announcements. Next 109 board meeting, October 23rd, 5:30 to 7, I believe, correct? Next advisory committee meeting, November 20 at 4:30 to 6. Kentucky Composting Conference at U of L, October 17th and 18th. And the Resource Recycling Conference, obviously, November 13th to the 15th.
Yeah,
Anything
and
else you'd like to add, Karen?
on that note about the conference, the agenda has been posted. I sent a link to that out to everyone that it was not already, well, both. I did it in 2 different emails, but if you are signed up, check out the agenda. If you are not signed up and you think you might want to be, the board had approved the registration fee for advisory committee members. So if you're not signed up and you think you can make it and it looks like a good agenda for you, feel free to let me know and I can register you. And I do have the Wednesday at 4 p.m. slot on the conference right before the cocktail hour. So I'm guessing that means people aren't just going to leave early. So hopefully that's good. But I have, I'm working on a session with another person who works in Salt Lake City, but he actually grew up here and went to Atherton High School. So it's kind of interesting to chat with him online, and there may be a third panelist that is part of our session, but we're not sure yet. And also I was going to share with you all that the people who, I don't really know all the jobs that are involved in the platform Nextdoor, but someone who works for Nextdoor, I guess, monitors and sees things that different agencies are doing. And he, one of them emailed me yesterday and said that I fill out a submission for a call for speakers for a government social media conference that's happening in May. So I took his advice and submitted for that. I don't know, choose me for about a month. But I was flattered and excited. He basically said that he likes how I use the poll feature on Nextdoor on the No Waste Wednesdays and thought that it would be make for a good session to kind of talk about that and improvements and recycling here. So I did it.
Yeah, you did a great job on social media, Nextdoor and stuff like that, Karen. So it does not surprise me that they were out there looking for people to talk and they selected you. Does not surprise me. And also thank you for all the work that you do. You do a great job.
No problem.
Anything else, Karen?
I would second that and also say what I like about the Nextdoor stuff is like you'll put something about XYZ and it makes somebody ask about ABC and you get a good question. Everybody gets to see that also. So I think the constant reminders of all that stuff is very good. So keep doing it and thanks. Yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
Good. Well, with that, hearing nothing from public comment, thank you, Karen, for everything that you do, Pete, and all the committee members and those in attendance. Appreciate you. Last thing on the agenda is I need a motion to adjourn. See, Mr. Story had his hand up.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
You, Adam. Had a second by Ms. Leonard. Thank you. Any comment? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you all so very much. And thank you, Karen, for helping me go through the agenda.
No
Have a good
problem.
evening, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
all.
Bye, guys.
Hey Karen, do you have a second for a quick question?
I do. Let me hit